The next person I'm going to be bringing up here in a moment is somebody very special to me. She is, in my opinion, one of the most admired women in the world. Her name is Denelle Dixon. She is the executive director at Stellar. And when I met Denelle, I was filming a film called Kryptonaires, and I had asked her story. I had seen the way that she had interacted with her team, and I noticed something about her, that everything that she was creating and building wasn't necessarily for her. It was for her heirs. And now we're going to ask her to come up to talk about, well, the future, what it's going to look like, because ultimately our heirs will inherit our story. Let's bring her up now. Denelle, welcome to the stage.
Good morning. My name is Denelle Dixon, and I am the Executive Director and CEO of the Stellar Development Foundation. The Stellar Development Foundation is a nonprofit foundation whose mission is to create equitable access to the global financial system. We believe the best way to do that is to leverage the benefits of the Stellar network, it's an open source blockchain network, and the benefits of the ecosystem building around Stellar. So I've been looking forward to this opportunity to address a room like this of like-minded peers and innovators. I have to admit that sometimes the challenge of these conversations is that we have unspoken biases and assumptions that we come together with, and sometimes that makes conversations hard. But we can still hold those biases and ideas, and yet we can work together to open things up a bit. So I spend a fair amount of time, actually, with people outside of our industry, sparring with them sometimes, listening to them a lot of times, just talking to them sometimes. And these are like policymakers and skeptics about the industry. And I can tell you that proving the value of our collective work is actually an uphill battle right now. It feels like we're a long way from the mainstream acceptance that our industry provides an overall impact, positive impact in the world. But I want to level set. So we're at the beginning of a really long journey. We're in that winding mountain part of the journey, like way up there, and we can see somewhere off in the distance there's a straightaway. Remember, blockchain is only a bit more than 5,000 days old. 5,000 days old. So we're heading to that straightaway on our journey where we can get more clarity and hopefully understanding, and then that's all really ahead of us. That's at least my ever the optimistic view. Importantly, the use of blockchain technology as another rail to deliver value is truly undeniable. And in many ways, it's by focusing on those uses that we're going to get past those blind turns and out of the mountains. So for this morning, my goal is to contribute to our collective argument for the impact blockchain is making today, and explain why proving that blockchain's real-world utility is important, and it's important to do that beyond our industry bubble. It's actually more important than ever to do that. To bring this journey to life, I'm going to share a story about the effort to improve the delivery of urgently needed aid, humanitarian aid. I'd also like to share thoughts beyond the aid use case, expanding to other applications that can also have a real-world impact. But first, let's ground this conversation in reality. As we speak, the world around us is having this economic downturn and growing inequality. Inflation is driving our day-to-day costs, and it's hitting those who were ever marginalized before even harder. Devastating natural disasters and political upheavals are destabilizing entire countries. And we recently passed the one-year mark of a war in Ukraine that's displacing millions of people. The enormity of these problems seem sometimes insurmountable. We find ourselves often reflecting and lamenting the growing problems that will be placed on the next generation to solve. The impacts are all at once: financial, sociological, and political. And as an industry, we've been grappling with how we can help. And many have been mobilizing to address these crises, like the war in Ukraine. At the same time, the industry that we're in, our industry, we find itself in our own sort of turmoil. Those of us still standing and dealing with the mess left behind by fraudulent actors who toyed with and trampled on customers, flouted tried and true governance standards, and cast doubt on our industry as a whole. Most recently, the shutdown of prominent banks that resulted in crypto becoming a scapegoat for fundamental weaknesses in the existing financial infrastructure. We now find ourselves trying to address the growing chorus of skeptics out there, that convergence, they're on our front door, and it drives us to devote more energy here. It drives us to be able to show that we're different and that we're here to stay. So like many of you, I want to protect and continue to advance the innovation and the progress that we're making. I want us to shape the world in a way that makes it impossible for even the most skeptical to deny the value of blockchain and crypto, and to deny the fact that they're improving even the most entrenched and antiquated financial systems for the better. But given everything that's going on around us, how do we, as an industry, how do we show value? Well, we show our value by solving problems for the real world. And not just any problems. We need to solve the hardest, most entrenched problems for the people who need better solutions the most. The urgency of these problems is impossible to ignore. We have war, we have natural disaster, and we have an inefficient financial system that is designed to, or maybe more nicely put, has resulted in the exclusion of billions of people. Too many people out there still don't see that blockchain and crypto are solving real problems and are here for the real world. Rather, it can sound conceptual, contrarian, or sometimes even elitist. But those of us here know that that's not true. The utility of blockchain technology to improve on things like humanitarian aid and expanding financial access to excluded are undeniable. If we agree that blockchain and that technology is purpose-built to solve problems in a way that other technologies cannot, well, let's challenge ourselves to solve the most pressing ones for those who need it the most. If we can't do that, then we really aren't delivering the value that goes beyond what the legacy financial system can offer. So now is the time to go all in on real-world utility. You've probably heard that a lot over the last few months. Through uses that deliver even better results for more people. There are plenty of those uses live on networks in this room today. Together, we're delivering on things like faster cross-border payments and new on and off ramps that create more interoperability with the traditional financial infrastructure. There's access to credit for previously underbanked or unbanked individuals and businesses in emerging markets. And payroll solutions, one of my favorite, for individuals in countries that want the choice to be paid in digital assets instead of depreciating currencies. All of these are meaningful. The one that I want to focus on today is really about humanitarian aid. So I'll start by sharing some context around aid disbursement. First, there's the sheer scale of it. Millions and millions of people rely on cash-based interventions as a lifeline. And in 2021 alone, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees Cash Assistance Program provided $670 million to 8.5 million people in over 100 countries. They provided them with the ability to provide those essential needs. So I want you to think about those numbers for a minute. $670 million, 8.5 million people in over 100 countries. And remember that behind each one of those numbers is a human face. There's a lot of funding that aid organizations are working hard to distribute to meet the needs of the dire needs of the people globally. The work of aid organizations like the UNHCR is truly remarkable. Now, but there's complexity, and as you can imagine, there are many challenges when it comes to aid disbursement, and here are just a few. It can take a long time to mobilize resources on the ground to distribute aid, and in moments of crisis, time is precious. Cash is not always the ideal form of payment in a crisis. Why? Well, sometimes the circumstances impact the stability of the local currency. Sometimes recipients are unbanked and can't receive aid into a bank account. And sometimes people just need something better than cash because they need it to be more portable. And the tools that are available to aid organizations through the traditional financial system can present issues when it comes to reporting and traceability, two things that blockchain is really good for. Clearly, the obstacles are big, and the stakes are really, really high. But when war broke out in Ukraine at the start of 2021, we saw an opportunity to help aid organizations. And we wanted to help them to improve on the aid disbursement process. Given the gravity of the situation, we embarked on this process with our eyes wide open, recognizing that we are not experts in humanitarian aid, but we are experts in payments, and in particular, better payments using blockchain. Humanitarian aid is its own unique industry. That's a really important thing to recognize. It's critical to acknowledge the expertise and the history there, as well as the distinct beneficiary populations that they serve. So our approach was to ask, what is blockchain's capacity to help? Simply put, blockchain's strength here lies in bulk payments. Faster, cheaper, more portable, accessible, and transparent bulk payments. Through collaboration with aid organizations like the UNHCR and the International Rescue Committee, we built a first-of-its-kind blockchain solution to deliver instant and transparent digital aid at scale. It leverages features that are offered by MoneyGram and Circle's USDC and the digital wallet Vibrant to they all bring this to the Stellar network, and we leverage those features for this process. And it's bulk disbursement tool that enables aid organizations to distribute their funds to the recipients quickly and at low cost. So in December, it was used by the UNHCR as well as the IRC to deliver urgently needed cash to internally displaced persons in Ukraine during the war. The key components of the tool are a stablecoin to serve as a stable store of value, a Stellar-enabled digital wallet, Vibrant, which provides a secure place to hold and transport funds, and global cash out capability so that recipients are able to have the choice to withdraw their funds in physical cash currencies if and when they need it. Taken together, the components of this solution, called Stellar Aid Assist, help address many of the challenges I mentioned earlier. First, instant bulk payments. This means aid organizations can, in seconds, again, they can deliver the aid in seconds. In moments of crisis, what did I say? Time is precious. Second, transparency. The ability to send funds directly to the user's wallet helps ensure that funds go to those who need it. It mitigates the potential fraud and allows for real-time traceability because it's all on that public immutable ledger. And accessibility. Recipients don't need a bank account to receive aid. And this enables organizations to even reach beneficiaries who are typically excluded from the legacy financial system. Fourth, portability. Recipients benefit from the ability to safely transport and access their funds when and where they need them. Whether they are moving across borders or forced to flee, this restores user choice and dignity, even in the most dire of circumstances. Fifth, global cash out. Recipients have the option of global cash out. What does that mean? That means they can do it in the currency of their choice through Stellar's network integration with MoneyGram. And finally, what do we all care about? It's stable. Digital dollars like Circle's USDC can provide that stability and that store of value, protecting from local currency devaluation. The actual details on how it works is actually super simple. The intended recipient receives a text message from the aid organization. They tell them that they're identified to receive aid, and that they can download this wallet. It happened in this case to be the Vibrant wallet. The recipient downloads the Vibrant wallet, and as soon as they do so, the aid is actually in their wallet. They hold it already. From start to finish, this process takes less than 2.5 minutes. And then they get to choose what their next steps are. Do they want to cash out? Do they want to put it in their bank account? Do they want to hold it now and they want to cash out later? The thing that's really important about this is that it can be done without ever leaving her home. She can download this wallet, receive the aid, and then choose when it's safe for her to go out if she chooses to get the cash out. This is actually, you're able to do it from the security of your shelter, which again provides ownership, opportunity, and dignity for the individuals receiving it. This is how the solution works, and how aid organizations have helped with aid disbursement in Ukraine. But there's more to it. The solution is made possible thanks to the decentralized, trustless technology. But there's a human element at play here, and it's worth expanding on this too. The solution was made possible in large part because of the people that identified an urgent problem and came together to solve it. People who advocated for a better way and were driven to bring this to life, all for the sake of those that could benefit from it on the other side. This wasn't about forcing a square peg into a round hole, making blockchain work in a time when it didn't actually necessarily need to work. Blockchain can't help solve all problems, but when it's right, it works really, really, really well. So much credit is owed to the advocates within the UNHCR and the IRC who had the vision and the tenacity to see this through within the context in Ukraine. The technology may be trustless, but making this real took immense effort and trust between human beings who were relentlessly committed to tackling and overcoming the very human element behind this problem. Yes, the technology is trustless. And we're working with and we're working because it's capable of incredible applications. But since we're designing these solutions with humans in mind, we can't lose sight of the fact that there is a human dimension of trust that underlies all of our work. We all saw very clearly last year when that element of trust is ignored and stamped on. So we have to do what we can to build this trust back. And that starts with us recognizing that there are humans on both sides of blockchain-enabled solutions, building them and using them. It would really be a really big mistake to abstract those relationships away. For the last many years, we've focused on the technology stack, and that makes sense. It's important from a development perspective. But what's more important from a use perspective is that we focus on the user of the technology. We've started to see more and more of us focus on UX and UI design, and that's crucial. I mean, some of you probably know that every day we use HTTPS when we're using the web and all those technologies, and what does that provide for us? It provides us security. But I don't hear HTTPS being used in many conversations out there. I don't hear many people saying those letters together. That's where we need to get to with respect to blockchain and crypto. We need to stop focusing on explaining the technology, and we need to start making that technology useful for everyone and demonstrating those uses, and those uses, it's going to get us to the place that we want to be. It's not the technology, it's the outcome that matters. And that's really important for us to think through now. At the end of the day, whether you're talking about building a better solution to deliver humanitarian aid to people in crisis, or the invention of a digital currency to free people from centralized entities, aren't the people really the point. So let's bring this together with the question. I want to talk about the questions that I posed earlier. How does our industry prove our value? By building solutions for the real world. What is blockchain's strength and capacity to help here? The bulk disbursement tool that I described, well, that was made possible by the Stellar Aid Assist solution. It's also capable of many other applications. The humanitarian aid application gets to some of those needs. But this tool, it can be leveraged to reach so many more people in need, and they need these better solutions. If you take it out of the aid context, you can simply think about it as a pipe for bulk payments. Bulk payments have real-world value and utility that goes beyond aid disbursement. For any organization or any business, they may need this functionality at scale. Think cross-border payroll. Again, one of my favorite. Public assistance payments for government agencies, or micropayments to gig workers and creators. It can be reimagined to solve so many of these problems. And the solution, it's because the technology at its core, it was built to be better in precisely the ways that all of us in the room care about. Decentralized, transparent, faster, cheaper, and more accessible. And lastly, there are potentially millions of humans on the other side of these solutions that we can reach. Millions of humans with more value and more utility. Now, whether these solutions are there to boost the experience they have with the mundane, everyday financial services, as in the payroll use case, or help them in their most dire times of need, as with the humanitarian aid use case, we have a precious opportunity to build back trust. Again, people are really the point here. Our team is here all week in full force, so if you have any opportunities to be able to think that this kind of technology can be useful for your business, please stop by. We want to address that. So that brings me back to the point of this discussion. Blockchain's real-world impact. Get motivated by a problem in the world that's affecting people that you care about or people that are in your community and a community that you're a part of. Let it drive you to collaborate and to help them to solve it. Make an undeniable case for the utility of this technology. Show how we're delivering better, more accessible, more inclusive solutions. This is how we, as an industry, will win. If we believe that blockchain is for the real world, then let's show up for the real world. This is why we're all here. We're all here despite the implosions and all of the heartache. We are a room full of problem solvers and builders. It's up to us to bring these solutions to life. And that journey that we're on, the one where we're still winding through the mountains a bit, I think the straightaway is just ahead. It's around the next corner. When we hit it, we're going to be able to push ourselves harder and to get impact faster. And with the resilience that we've built in the past on our side, we've got this. We're here to stay. And what we have built is making the world more connected and a more inclusive place. I'm looking forward to getting motivated this week by all of the incredible things that you're building. Thank you for listening and for the work that you're doing.